Hello everybody, I'm Abasu. Welcome to my channel on cyber security. So today we are looking into the top 10 OWASP vulnerabilities. So before starting that, let's discuss what is OWASP. OWASP stands for Open Web Application Security Project. This is an online community that produces article methodologies, documentation, tools and techniques in the field of web application security. Now let's go forward and discuss about top 10 OWASP vulnerabilities. The first is injection. So this is when a software application takes in data input and interrupt it as a change to a command. Pretty much everyone knows about send data to an application that can tell what to do. So injection attack most commonly affect SQL, LDAP, XPath, NoSQL query, OS commands, XML pass, SMTP headers, expression language, and ORM queries. Depending on the specific information in any given database that being exploited, an attacker might be able to access data, change data, or even delete data. Now, how can we prevent the injection attack? So there are three methods. First is input validation. So to do the input validation, there are two basic approaches. One is blacklisting, which is what define what is not allowed. A blacklist and approach is to input validation might involve trying to detect the potential dangerous characters. Second is whitelisting, what is allowed. Second is prepared statements and stored procedures. So the idea behind here is to avoid what calls dynamic queries, which leads to an issue of the users providing input which can then be executed as a command rather than as a data. So developer needs to ensure that the applications only takes user input as a data which can be interpreted as a parameter to query rather than command itself. The third way is the least privilege. So we can give a person only on the need to know basis the access of a particular application. The second is broken authentication. So when we are talking about broken authentication, so there are certain applications are often improperly implemented, especially functions related to authentication and session management when implemented incorrectly. Allow attackers to compromise passwords, keys, and session. This can lead to stolen user identity and more. The example can be a web application allow the users to enter the weak and well-known password, such as password as itself as a password. The solution can be we can put the multi-factor authentication can help reduce the risk of compromised attacks, compromised accounts. Automated static analysis is highly useful in finding such a flaws, while manual static analysis can add a strength in evaluating custom authentication schemes. Now, a third vulnerability is sensitive data exposure. Sensitive data exposure is when important stored or transmitted data is compromised. Now, the sensitive data can be your social security number, it can be your financial statements, your credit card number, or it can be your salary slip, your personal information. So, the example can be financial institution that fails to adequately protect their sensitive data can be easy target to credit card frauds and identity theft. So solution can be a stat tool. So it can stat tool and CSA tool, which can be black duck, binary analysis, include features and checkers that identify security vulnerability that can result in sensitive data exposure. Now, a fourth vulnerability is XML External Entities, that we can also set as a XXE. Attackers are able to take advantage of web applications that use vulnerable component processing XMLs. Attackers are able to upload the XML or include hostile command or content within an XML document. Example can be an application allow the untrusted source to perform XML uploads. The solution can be stat tool. This can be very helpful in detecting accessing in source code. So stat helps inspect both application configuration and dependency. So stat stands for static application security testing tool. The next fifth one is broken access control. Broken access control is when an attacker is able to get access to user's account. The attacker is able to operate as the user and as an administrator in the system. Example is an application allow a primary key to be changed. When the key is changed to another user record, that user account can be viewed or modified. Solution can be, we can use a penetration testing in order to detect the unintended access control. Changes in architecture and design may be warranted to create trust boundaries. So it can be through security misconfiguration during the design, or configuration weaknesses result from a configuration error or shortcoming, which can be, example can be default accounts and the original password are still enabled and making the system vulnerable to exploit. Solution can be, we can go again for a start tool, which includes the checking that identifies the information exposure available during an error message. The sixth is security misconfiguration. Security misconfiguration is most important commonly seen issue. This is commonly a result of issue insecure default configuration, incomplete or ad hoc configuration, open cloud storage, misconfigured HTTP header, verbose error message containing sensitive information. This is not only must all operating system frameworks, libraries and application be securely configured, but they must be patched or upgraded in timely fashion. Now our seventh vulnerability is Crosscut System, that we can also said as a XSS. So this attacks occurs when an application includes untrusted data on a website and attacker inject client-side system into this website. Example can be untrusted data in an application allow an attacker to steal a user session and gain access to the system. Solution can be stat solution, which is well versed in data flow analysis, can be great tool to help find these critical defects and suggest remedies. So in the OWASP website, you can also see a cheat sheet to best practices to eliminate such defects from your code. For OWASP top 10 categories like XSS that also have a common weakness enumerator, that is CWE, Black Duck will alert teams that this is a weakness that led to vulnerability and enabling them to better understand the vulnerability and priorities their remediation efforts. It is insecure deserialization. Insecure deserialization is a vulnerability where deserialization flaws allow an attacker to remotely execute code in the system. Example is example is the application is vulnerable because it is deserialized hostile object that were supplied by an attacker. Solution can be application security tool, helps detect deserialization flaws, and penetration testing can be used to validate the problem. Now the ninth one is using component with known vulnerability. This vulnerability title states its nature. It describes when applications are built and run using component that contains known vulnerabilities. Example can be due to the volume of components using in a development, a developer team may not even know or understand the components used in their application. This can result in them being out of date and therefore vulnerable to attack. Solution can be a SCA tool. SCA stands for software composition analysis, which can be used alongside static analysis to identify and detect outdated and insecure component in your application. Now the last and 10th vulnerability is insufficient logging and monitoring. So this talks about logging and monitoring activities that should be performed in website frequently to guarantee it is secure. Fail to adequate logs and monitor a site, leave it vulnerable to more severe compromising activity. Example can be events that can be audited, like login, failed passwords, and other important activities are not logged, leading to a vulnerable application. Solution can be, after performing a penetration testing, developer can study the test log to identify possible shortcomings and vulnerabilities. So basically, stat solution can also help identify the unlocked security exceptions. So this is what we are having in today's session corresponding to top 10 OWASP vulnerability. Thank you for joining.